morning, and I count this as a joy and a privilege to share a short devotional thought. I'm standing in a very familiar place to most of you. In the background, you can see the very old banyan tree. I'm sure that for many of you, you would have very fond memories, playing under the banyan tree, sitting for classes under this banyan tree. However, for this morning's devotion, I would like to turn your attention to Numbers chapter 13 and verses 18 onwards all the way till 33, and I would like to draw a few lessons from here. The passage is quite long, but it's a very familiar story to us. Here we read about 12 spies who went to spy the promised land. The land was flowing with milk and honey, and this was the land that God had given as an inheritance to his people. But they went on to spy the land to find how they would be able to capitalize the things and make that land their very own. All the 12 men who went there, they were so excited to see the land being fertile, the land flowing with milk and honey, grapes, that were so huge where they needed two people to carry those grapes. You can go on saying about that land because it was such a wonderful land that God had promised to his people. But when these 12 men, when they came back to report about what they saw, all of them reported the same thing. They were all excited to see how good that land that God had prepared for them. But the 10 people there, had a very different perspective to it. They said all the good things and they said, but. They highlighted the challenge, the circumstances that they would have to face, if they have to inherit the promised land. And this morning, I would want to remind about the other two people, Joshua and Caleb. The Bible records that they had a very different spirit. They were not like the other 10 people who had actually gone to the land. They too saw the land, how fertile it was, but when they came back and reported, their report was far different from other 10 men who had reported. Because they had kept the God factor in their report. They did see the challenges, but they didn't want to see the challenge, but they wanted to see the God who would enable them to overcome those challenges. They came and talked about it, but we know at the end it was the 10 spies who were so successful enough to influence the people around, and naturally, they were not able to step into the promised land. But years would roll down, many years would go by, and you would find that there were only 2 men out of the entire lot that walked out of Egypt who were able to enter the promised land. That was Joshua and Caleb. This morning, if you are going through challenges, if you are going through difficulties, if you are going through circumstances that you are finding it very, very hard to understand, I know that you would have a lot of buts in your life. But this morning I want to remind you, put God in midst of those buts, and I'm sure those challenges would get dissolved in the name of our Lord. May the Lord bless you as you hear this word, and may this word encourage you as you stay connected with God this day. Thank you. Have a nice day.